but your thing is going really great. My son's a big fan of yours, Barron.
Really, Barron is?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
He just graduated high school, right?
That's right. He just did. He knows you very well. He said, Dad, he's big.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's with Trump and like constantly relying on his sons for media appearances?
UFC became my favorite sport during the pandemic because Dana was brave enough to stay open. You know,
he was it. He was the whole ball game. He was the only sport, and he'd open up in arenas with nothing other than very good fighters.
Yeah.
And they would be fighting. He had some of the best fights during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But he
it was exceptional. There it is right there. See, look, there you are, and I'm right behind you there.
Oh,
clapping with that hat on, the white guy in the hat.
That's great. That's right. The white guy in the hat is right. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us there, but I was one of them for sure.
That's right.
Yeah, see, that's me right there.
Good sport, isn't it, huh?
Yeah, I'm a Dustin Poirier fan. So.
Oh, he's great. He was, boy, I tell you, he's a warrior. That last fight he had, whether you like it or not, he is a warrior.
Yeah.
Trump's strategy as a telegenic person that is like capable of holding a conversation with people who are not immediately at odds with him actually does end up humanizing him a lot to people who are prone to his kind of politics. I think. I don't even know if the Democrats could actually like recreate this with Kamala, especially. No, I'm thinking specifically tactics, because this is a question that comes up a lot in the media specifically. Like, I have had to answer this question like 100 times. People ask me this all the time. It's like, oh, well, you know, the Democrats want to try to adopt the same strategy as Trump. Problem is, I just don't think that a person like Kamala Harris is capable of like going on. Like, what would be the equivalent? You know what I mean? I just don't see Kamala Harris like doing this with an equivalent. Trump doesn't do this as a one-off. This is like a whole personality that he's cultivated over many, many years as a content creator himself originally, right? So like, if Trump just did like one or two media hits, it would be like Joe Biden going on that what was the podcast with like Speedy, that guy, the Complex podcast. Like, it would look like that. What is Theo politically? Just everything, just the median voter, the perfect median voter. Trump played golf with a golfing YouTuber, for example. He's in it for the content. Yeah, and it got 11 million views. Like, he's kind of cooking on his social media strategy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not something that Kamala Harris, I don't think, can genuinely recreate anyway. Even Dr. Phil, 16 mil, dude. Yeah, a Trump interview is like literally immediate lock that you're gonna get like 10 million plus views. I mean, look at this one. This one got 10 million in 4 days.
So you had two guys. Remember that Muhammad wasn't allowed to fight because of lots of different things, and he was
How do you think this will reflect an actual vote? So many 16-year-olds watching Theo can't vote. Maybe I'm wrong. I think, like, if you want to activate a base of voters that are non-voters that maybe were too young to vote or too young to care during your horrific presidential run, this is the best way to do it. This is what I said with the Aiden Ross stuff too. His team understands that there are a group of voters out there, young men specifically, that have shown in polling results that they are more interested in Republican politics in general, that don't really look at traditional media all that much, and might have been too young to have made up their minds about Donald Trump under the Trump administration, under the Trump presidency. Even if they're like Joe Rogan watchers in general, Theo Vaughn has a similar audience to Joe Rogan, so I assume it's like a lot of like older men, older than you would think, but men that aren't necessarily tapped in to mainstream interest, mainstream media in general. And the interesting part of that equation is that they don't show up in polls either, especially if they're like non-voters originally. They're not going to show up in polls. What the f going on with my chat?
Yeah. I noticed at the events you don't drink, and you don't drink or smoke, right?
I don't drink or smoke. No.
You never have.
No, I never have. I've had a great.
Here it comes. He's talking about coke. He's gonna start chirping about cocaine.
Brother who taught me a lesson: don't drink, and he said don't smoke. He smoked and he drank, and he was a great guy. He was a handsome, very handsome guy.
Is he older? He was older,
quite a bit older, yeah. And he had a problem with alcohol and smoke a lot. But I tell people no drugs, no drinking, no cigarettes.
Yeah.
I tell that to my kids all the time. I'd say no drugs, no drinking, no smoke. And I'd look up to him anyway.
Did you admire him?
Yeah, I admired so much about him. He had so much going. He had the look. He
what was
had
his name?
Unbelievable personality, like an incredible personality.
What was his name, Donald?
His name was Fred Trump. And he had a problem with alcohol. He got addicted to it because they say alcohol is tougher than drugs to get off of. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I'm in recovery, actually. I've been in recovery, so like most of the last 10 years.
From alcohol?
From drugs and alcohol.
So which is worse?
For me, drugs is the problem, but if I have a drink, then it's tougher for me to prevent myself from getting it.
It sets off a chain.
Yeah.
But which is harder to quit? I've heard alcohol is harder to quit than drugs, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine because it's probably more readily available.
More readily. Well, and it's social and you're sitting and everyone's drinking and all. So you have a problem with that then?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you stay away from it?
Yeah, I've done a good job. I mean,
so how long have you been off?
I go to recovery meetings. I've been off most recently a little over 2 years.
Do you ever go back on?
Yeah, I've had stints where I go back.
Is the most genuine you see Trump? Yeah, he's good in these moments, man. He's good. As I was saying, it's not surprising that Trump is like, doesn't touch any of this stuff because his brother was an alcoholic and he like briefly alludes to it. He mentions it a little bit, but like, that's why he's straight edge. He doesn't touch any of that stuff, like at all.
With your brother, could you see it or anything?
Like, yeah.
Man.
I was amazed because he had so much going, he had everything going. I think it happened in college at a fraternity maybe, or I don't know, somewhere along the line it happened. And all of a sudden, this is not unique. This is a very common story, unfortunately. But, and then the family would see it and start to notice it. And it didn't get better. It didn't get better. I was amazed, he lived for so long in bad conditions, in terms of, I was amazed that his body could hold out. It held out and it had bad moments, but his body was unbelievably strong that it could withstand this.
Yeah, it's a body. Your body's just so resilient.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last time that you saw him or spent with him?
I do. And
bro, this is like straight up charming. It's crazy. Like Donald Trump at his rallies is like it feels like an entirely different demon. Getting up close and personal like this is legitimate. Like this is when people are talking about like the Mike Malak, Logan Paul interview, and it wasn't like this at all. That was regular ass Trump. That was just like him just doing a rally, but to Logan Paul and Mike Malak. Why is Theo so anti-corporate, anti-billionaire, but a Trump dick rider who inhales his with a smile? I mean, that's like, he's a normie, like he, in his mind, he's like, I'm interviewing a former president. I think a lot of people just like don't contextualize it in that same way. I mean, I'm anti-corporate, anti-billionaire, but I like JB Pritzker, you know what I mean? And he's also like charming to him. He's having like a normal conversation. I don't think he has like any sort of political ambitions or aspirations here. Like he's not trying to get something out of him. He's not trying to have like a gotcha or anything like that. It's because he's kind of stupid. He'd admit to being kind of dumb too because he's aware. Yeah. And also I think overall, like, I mean, he had that point of the Bernie interview as well where he was like, you and Trump, like you were the anti-establishment candidates, like, or something like that. He was like, you were the outsiders, right? Like he said that in that interview. He's like, oh, I wanted you and Trump to run together. Like that's it. Like that's literally it. What you see is what you get. I don't think there's like any sort of cynical reason. He's not like, I'm gonna go and make Trump look like more of a human dude. Like I don't think he's operating like that. Yes, this is a perfect way to explain it. He's unaware of the implications of having a political figure on a show. He isn't trying to be confrontational or glaze him up. He just thinks it would be cool to have a former president on a show. That's it. You also don't realize that even people who vote don't necessarily have a lot of opinions beyond like, oh yeah, I just kind of voted. Like most people don't think about this the way that you do. We're nerds, chat. That's why I'm always pleasantly surprised when I see someone in the wild who does have maybe not like the same interest that I do, but at least like even if they don't have the theory, their heart is in the right place. Like I get excited when I see that. Like even if someone doesn't have the best way of communicating like a leftist worldview or whatever, and I'm not talking about Theo in this same way. I'm simply this is a sidestep from the conversation. But like sometimes you'll meet someone who isn't like an out and about leftist, would never call themselves that way, right? They would never say they're a leftist. They wouldn't even say they're a liberal, but like they'll say certain things, especially you see this a lot in working class backgrounds, like people that have actually seen and experienced poverty. Oftentimes they'll say certain things about their experiences with their bosses and whatnot, where you're like, oh, this dude gets it. That's why I always have this belief that I stick to, that like the average American is actually significantly more open-minded to progressive policies than the people that you see online. You know what I mean? The people that are chirping online, the people that are like supposedly very educated on this stuff. Would you say that most Americans are somewhat class conscious? No, it's actually class consciousness that is missing from the equation for Americans. They understand certain concepts, but they don't know how to conceptualize it, if that makes sense. No, Americans are some of the least class conscious motherfuckers on the planet, dude.
Which was a hard thing for him to do, but he had to give that up.
Election day is coming up on November 5th.
Like now, and
That's Theo, oracle.com/Theo. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like, so there's like the big pharma lobbyists, like there's 1,800 big pharma lobbyists. There's only 535 total representatives or senators total. So just the fact that there's this whole other almost drug government that's there kind of pushing pushing agendas and influencing things. Like, how do we stop that, man? It just seems like it's obviously killing people. What do we have to do that our own government won't help us?
You're going to talk about fucking immigrants bringing it over, I suspect.
Well, you have to stop listening to lobbyists. You know, I was not a big person for lobbyists. And if they have even a little access to like a president or a senator or a congressman or woman,
they're snakes.
They get a lot of money.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they just take the money. They don't do anything. But you have a lot of lobbyists in Washington pushing, and certainly a lot for all of
dog. You literally made lobbyists, or even worse than Murad, you look too skinny, bro. That's crazy, bro. He put lobbyists in charge of the agencies that are supposed to be regulating the industries that they were lobbying the government on. He put industry leaders. He sidestepped lobbyists in certain instances. Like Betsy DeVos is directly a lobbyist. She was a Secretary of Education. She comes from a rich ass family who lobbied the government. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, I hate lobbyists. He's currently lobbying the oil and gas industry, bro. I can't believe it. Trump will never do an interview that is not in a controlled environment or with a person who is utterly oblivious to the reality. Did he really though? How do I find this? Look up every single agency appointment that Trump did. Literally all of the top level officials. Lobbyists lobby the government on behalf of certain sectors and certain corporations. Trump literally cut across the lobbyists and just had industry leaders take over the role of the regulatory agencies. And beyond that, there were also obviously direct lobbyists in the administration as well. That's one lobbyist for every 14 political appointees and 4 times more than Obama had appointed 6 years into office. It's crazy that he's saying this. No disrespect to Theo Vaughn, but he is so goddamn ill-equipped to have this combo. And that's precisely why the combo is happening. Like you have to understand, like, Trump's not stupid. His team's not dumb. They know he can have this combo and just like portray himself as in a certain light, maybe even humanize himself this way and approach Theo Vaughn's audience as like a totally separate being than he actually is. And that's what's happening here. Trump's entire cabinet was lobbyists and also corporate executives. Like it honestly feels like Theo Vaughn is the type of dude you could like convince not to be transphobic in like a 5-minute conversation, because he has something that I think many people miss, which is like genuine curiosity and a willingness to learn and shared ability. But don't forget that you are talking to a mother who literally told Bernard Jebediah Sanders that he would have loved to see him on the same ticket as Donald Trump. You're crazy if you think he's like some secret political demon and he's like, yeah, he's actually trying to make sure that he humanizes Trump to his audience. Like, no, he's like, yeah, he's a former president, dude. That's what he would say.
It's pretty clear that the establishment doesn't like you, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I think the people like me.
Oh, yeah, the people.
We're leading now in all the polls. We're leading, and Rasmussen just came out a little while. Rasmussen's a very highly regarded poller. We're leading by 5 points. Rasmussen poll. And others also, and we're doing well. But I think the people like me a lot. You know,
you think he knows Rasmussen is a fucking right-wing pollster and they're just like so biased and wrong? No, he doesn't know that. He doesn't know. He's like, oh, Rasputin, like the Russian guy. Like that's what he's about to say, bro.
Recently, we had Bernie Sanders on,
right.
And
interesting.
And I know
that's very interesting.
Certainly, you guys don't agree on a lot of things, but I think you both acknowledge how horribly rigged the healthcare system is against the American people.
Dog, he was the president, and he actively ran on shutting off Obamacare, like the Affordable Care Act, and even succeeded in eliminating one of the funding mechanisms of Obamacare. Theo knows is a trap. Dude, there ain't no way Theo's here trying to get him with a gotcha. Okay, let's see.
Because hospitals and insurance companies get away with hiding their prices from all of us, and literally
No, he's talking about price transparency. That's a Trump policy. That's the dumbest way to try and deal with this problem.
Can charge whatever they want. You know, it's like you sign up and say, yes, I'll pay. You trust the hospital, but then you get home and the bill is.
Dog, you want to know how stupid price transparency for hospitals is? It's like the dumbest idea that libertarians have cooked up. Let's say you broke your fucking leg. At what point are you going to be like, hold on, let me pull out my goddamn phone and look at the Yelp reviews and the different prices for the 11 different private ambulance companies, and also let me look at the fucking phone to figure out which hospital is actually treating my broken leg at a cheaper price point. That's not how healthcare works. It's so stupid. There are massive hospital monopolies as well. In PA, all hospitals are owned by only a few organizations, a cartel. Exactly. You talk about being compassionate, but you aren't giving Theo the benefit of the doubt. This is him trying to make a difference. No, I know, dog. I know. Or lady, listen. I am giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's why I defended him when chatters were saying he's actually secretly a political assassin in the pocket for Donald Trump, trying to humanize him deliberately. That's why I said, no, that's not the case. That's the problem, though. A lot of Americans don't think about it like that. They don't think about like the actual reasons as to why this is like being put forward as a piece of legislation. And it's not exclusive to the Republican Party defending the Republican agenda. It is the Democratic Party and its most loyal soldiers as well. Straight up. That's precisely why so many people in this chat chirp at me as well, where they're like, well, Hasan, you want Trump to win, you want Republicans to win. Like, don't you think it's better to just have an Affordable Care Act and not have it at all? Yes, of course. But you know what's even better? Socialized medicine, which is what the entirety of the developed and also developing nations have at this point. We're like one of the only countries that doesn't have it. It makes me so mad that people are just so incredibly cucked, and they think that like their cucked position is actually somehow more intellectual than someone like myself who only broaches subject matters with surface level observations. Hasan is not smart enough to understand, like I am, the cost of doing business. Hasan is not smart enough to understand that, like, you know, these insurance companies have to exist in the way that they do. There is no other alternative. I am a brilliant thinker. It's like, dog, we are unique on the planet, okay? We are literally unique in the developed world. We are even unique in developing nations. In comparison to developing nations and developed nations, we are the exception, not the rule, in terms of like the way we deal with healthcare. You just are brain broken by Reddit and Twitter, where a bunch of like corporate-backed think tanks have created these papers that you read, or at least you like act like you read, and you just like repeat the high-level observations that they put in front of you to come across like you're the smart guy in this conversation. Hillary Clinton did it too. She was like, oh, well, what else? You want healthcare, free healthcare? What's next? You want a pony? What a ridiculous way to run a campaign.
And Biden let it go. He never enforced it. And to get that approved was a big deal.
Yeah, dude.
And
it was
that
an
would have brought down
objectively
the
stupid
price
idea, okay?
Oh, so many things.
Not only, you know, just care, right? Care, physical care, mental care. That would have brought down the cost of care by 50-60%. And Biden and Kamala didn't press it. It was a big thing to get it, but I'll be pressing it. And because I'll be pressing it, and because I'll be pressing it.
Also, that's a lie. But what's really funny about hospital pricing is that, like, maybe some people don't know this, but you remember how we talked about dynamic pricing? Chat might remember when I was talking about like the McDonald's app or Uber, and how Uber has dynamic pricing, like surge pricing and but also beyond that, even if you had two separate phones, one guy was a wealthier guy, the other guy was a poorer guy, from the same exact location, if you called Uber would literally show the poorer guy cheaper options. Like the same ride, Uber would actually serve to them in a cheaper way. That's called dynamic pricing. It exists already. It's existed in hospitals for a very long time. Dynamic pricing is exactly how hospitals do pricing. That's how they do it. If you have the capacity to pay, they'll cook you. They'll hit you with like those Hall's cough drops that are normally like 30 cents a pop. You'll have to pay $37 for it. You're like, what the fuck is this? You look at the receipt, you're like, how the hell did this happen? Well, that's because the insurance company is not interested in making it cheaper. The insurance company is simply interested in offsetting as much as the cost and making you pay for as much of the cost as possible. They're just an expensive middleman.
There are some people that are vehemently against it for financial reasons, you know, for money reasons. But
those people can go to hell, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, no, they Bad people.
Especially because one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in America is medical debt. I mean, that's crazy.
Pretty
and I don't even
crazy.
think I made that up either.
No, it's when you think of it. At first, when you said it, I said, "Wow," and then I'm thinking about it. I'm saying it's really not a wow. I understand it.
Yeah.
Tremendous lobby.
There ain't no way Big Dog, who used to be the former president of the United States of America, didn't know and just learned from Theo Vaughn. Please stop. There is just no, why are you even admitting? Like, what is going on, dude? Like, you know, and someone is going to send me like a tweet or a video from a long time ago where, as a gotcha, to be like, well, see, he mentioned it here. No, dude, even if he did mention it, he just doesn't know. He like has not internalized this information. He has not held on to this information. People just put scripts in front of him and he fucking reads it, dude. That's it. He does not give a and he does not even remotely care. He's like, wow, medical bankruptcy is like the #1 cause. Wow. Dude, you were the president. Like, listen, I don't like Obama, but there is no world where you could catch Obama slipping like this. Like, there's just not a planet. Like, we are in a separate planet. I don't think you can catch Joe Biden slipping this hard, and his brain is not even working. I genuinely have forgotten, because like I don't really watch Trump behave in a unrestricted environment like this. So like he's too free for his own good here, you know?
Lobby, tremendous power. Really
Like,
not,
look,
when you think of it,
Bankruptcy,
bad people.
especially because one of the leading causes of bankruptcy in America is medical debt. I mean, that's crazy.
wow.
It's pretty
And I don't even
crazy.
think I made that up either.
No, it's when you think of it. At first, when you said it, I said, "Wow," and then I'm thinking about it. I'm saying it's really.
Bro, this is new information. He has been presented with new information. You were the president, dude. I'm shocked, and I'm maybe a little mad at myself for like forgetting how stupid he is. Where it's like frustrating that I forgot that like a person who was the former president can be like this checked out of the process. Like, I cannot think of a single former president that is still currently alive. Like Jimmy Carter, if you could catch him in a good moment, he's a carcass at this point, but like even he would be like, no, I know that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like this is entry level stuff, chat. The beginning of this interview has us thinking he was a genuine guy. It didn't take for it long to ruin us. Dude, are you kidding me? There's not a single soul in this chat that will vote for Donald Trump. Of course, we are interpreting this very differently. The average person that doesn't know that is not going to pick up on the fact that it's wild that a former president is oblivious to the reality that in the American nation, the leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bankruptcies, like medical bills.
Who's behind the healthcare insurance, that whole thing? Like, who's behind it all? It feels like Chuck Schumer is this kind of like deviant mastermind back there somewhere.
Well, he's one of the people that is hurt, and he's one of the people that keeps the price.
Oh my God, bro. Oh my God, bro. What are you saying? I mean, he sucks. This is the worst part about the Democratic Party, because across the board, they're also the same exact level of shills for the corporate autocracy that we exist under. That like when Theo Vaughn says like Chuck Schumer, dude, but like in theory, he's not even fucking wrong. Chuck Schumer isn't like a big healthcare dude. Every American politician, unless they have told you otherwise, is absolutely deeply vested in the continuation of private healthcare. There are a handful of American politicians who are genuinely invested in pushing for a ceasefire in Israel and delivering you healthcare or free college or any number of different things. Chuck Schumer passing Obamacare in 2010 was a mistake. Chuck Schumer upbraided his own party Tuesday for pushing the Affordable Care Act through Congress in 2010. Schumer emphasized during a speech at the National Press Club that he supports the law and its policies will and continue to be positive changes. He argued that the Democrats acted wrongly in using their new mandate in the 2008 election to focus on the issue rather than the economy at the height of the terrible recession. Bro, I'm serious. It really pisses me off how bad politicians are at politics. It's just nutty how objectively bad American politicians are. Like, they are directly antagonistic. They are directly antagonistic to the well-being of American citizens.
Price is high, and he's, gets a lot of contributions from the people on the other side. And him and plenty of other people, a lot of people. It's a very powerful lobby.
But wouldn't they? Why do
the
they
most
want
powerful
people?
lobby? The lawyer lobby.
That's the.
And that feeds into that also. It all feeds into it.
Wait, hold on, just so I understand, Donald. Sorry. So that lobby is a very powerful one.
Yeah.
But why do those people want people to suffer though? Just so they can make money?
Yeah, actually,
crazy.
yeah, it really has to do with money.
That's crazy. How much money do
They
they
probably
need?
start
Can't we
off by
just
saying
give
this
them?
is terrible, and then they eventually say, "Well."
But can we just, as a country, say, "Hey, how much? Okay, you need $3 million. We'll give you that off.
Yeah,
We want to be healthy."
yeah.
Like, can't we make a deal with those people?
They're very tough to deal with.
This is why I hate when liberals are like, bro, Americans are not progressive. Think about the moderates. It's actually the moderates that the Democratic Party needs to captivate. It's like, bro, you have two dudes. You have a dude who's like the most apolitical medium voter ass fucker you can get, who is surrounded by right wingers in his profession, literally having these opinions. Isn't that weird? Doesn't that kind of make you see the reality that like most Americans are probably a little bit more progressive in terms of like individual policies? Like, they might not like the Democratic Party. They might think liberals are pussies, but like the average country bumpkin like Theo Vaughn, who obviously is no longer as much of a country bumpkin as he used to be, obviously, because he's in Hollywood and shit, but like still, don't you think that like the average American, like if you talk to them, they're probably going to be on board with a lot of this shit? That's why I get so frustrated with polling on issues, especially polling on issues that are like untested. There's no counter narrative associated with the issue, and it's just a narrative backed by Republican hysteria. And then people just like run the table, and the Democrats run scared, and then they sedate their liberal audience, their liberal team, into believing that like they have to do these moderate positions. And liberals eat this shit up.
The most powerful lobby is that lobby. And if you wanted to get rid of litigation, if you went, and Europe has it, a lot of places have it in different countries, where loser pays. If you sue somebody and you lose, you have to pay the costs of the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
And what happens is people don't sue. It's a tremendous difference. But this country, the lawyers are very much opposed to it in this country. It's too bad.
Yeah, man, it's just pretty heartbreaking, I feel like.
Like, I don't care. I don't care about this enough. I don't care about like loser pays litigation changes. I don't. And I don't think the average American does either. But it's kind of funny when he's like, they do it in Europe. You know what else they do in Europe? Socialized medicine, dude. How about we do that? Oh, no, because that is not interesting, because that goes against the corporate lobbyists that you were talking about. That goes against the corporations that you were talking about that are so powerful, it would end up helping every American. So we can't have that. Oh no, we can't have that. Nothing. And I'm not talking about a single thing that is radical.
The debates are very important. I mean, I had a debate with Joe Biden.
Oh yeah, I
and
saw
that was
it.
that was a very consequential debate, to put it mildly.
Well, yeah, they took the hand out of the puppet after that.
Well, they wanted to debate. They gave me everything that I didn't want, CNN, and then they gave me Dana Bash and Jake Tapper. Now, remember this, they were very straight during that debate. I gained a certain respect because Jake Tapper, who I call Fake Tapper, but I don't do that.
I saw him at Whole Foods.
I don't
one
do
time.
that so much anymore. You did. I thought they were very even-handed, if you want to know the truth, during the debate.
I didn't feel like they like the moderate. I didn't feel like that they pushed a lot of
They had
stuff.
certain pressure on them to be even-handed. I think it's hard to not do that, but they were very even-handed, and it was a great debate, but a very important debate.
Well, after that, it seemed like suddenly everybody had been like, "Oh, Biden's fine." In America for like 18 months. Like, my dad was really old when I was born. My dad was 70 when I was born, right? So I don't like seeing senior citizens get taken advantage of, right? I felt like that happened a lot when I was a kid. And so I think for me, it reflected on me, like, it made me really angry because I was like, I know this guy's not well. It's not fair to pretend that he's well. It's not fair to him because he doesn't know you're pretending, you know? And it just seemed like the cruelest thing you could do. And then we're all kind of supposed to believe this thing that we know is not real. Our media is just saying this is real. And we're like, we're all just being.
I think this is exactly the kind of that makes people also like way more conspiratorial. I think this is exactly what people talk about when they're like, I don't trust mainstream media. But it's something that they could just like directly see with their own two eyes. And then the media is like, nah, it's not like that.
This is somebody's grandfather. And then they just disappear. He just disappears. And suddenly it's like
It was a coup.
Kamala is the one that went in. What do you think happened in the back rooms there? Because that almost was overnight that happened.
I know what happened. And you're not supposed to do that. It's not supposed to be probably constitutional. She got no votes.
It's not constitutional. Like, what are you? Bro, it's not like Joe Biden is dead. They didn't kill him. He's around. He's the one who endorsed Kamala Harris. He's still running around talking about how he wants Kamala Harris to be president. What you mean? He chose Kamala Harris as his VP, bro. Like, that's exactly how this is supposed to happen. There's no what? Like, it's illegal. It's just when something is not going my way, it's illegal, unconstitutional.
He got 14 million votes. All of a sudden, they're telling him to get out, or they threatened him.
But who are
And
they
he is
when
an
they say
angry
that?
person. Well, I would say Schumer, Pelosi, and
I mean, bro got upwards of 80 million votes, and you still didn't consider him to be the real winner for a year after the election. So you mean 14 million votes?
numerous other people, the heads of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, thugs.
And they did. They threatened him violently, I think. And he
You
didn't
think
want to
they
get out.
really
Remember, he said,
Nancy Pelosi was like, I'm going to suffocate you with my titties if you don't drop out.
But no, one thing I liked about Bernie, well, one of the things is the healthcare. I just feel like we spend so much money in different places and people are sick, and the opioid epidemic. I just feel like, and the lower cost of drugs, those are things that
because I got insulin down and they took credit for it. But I got it down to $35. And I said, I hope I win because somebody's going to take credit. It takes a period of time before it kicks in statutorily. And I got it down to $35, which is a very low price. And they took credit for it, which is, now I'm taking credit because I'm talking to you,
well, yeah, if you did it, then you should be able to take credit for it.
I just watched her performance today. So she went out and
Who, Kamala?
she lied about everything. She said, this Trump tax, that Trump tax, that Trump tax. He's going to tax this. He's going to tax all these different things. And I'm not going to tax them. She made it up.
Did you?
Donald Trump insulin price caps is a policy that he pushed for. Here it is. President Trump announces lower out-of-pocket insulin costs for Medicare seniors. Today, he did it partially for B or D, and Biden got full for both, right? Yes. But even then, Biden actually didn't lower it for anyone outside, though. This is still not a full-blown measure. Biden and Trump are fighting to claim credit for the $35 insulin. It was actually a pharma giant's idea. This is one of the funniest parts about this. It's like, no, dude, you didn't. Like, a pharma giant did not actually personally come up with this idea. Get the fuck out of here.
For these company additives. So what can Moingers and on Theo sign up today and get free hot rolls in your first order? Is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost with one of the
Oh my God, how long is this? Holy shit.
People in politics, many of them, not all of them, are really liars, but she's really a liar. She made up a series of lots of different taxes that Trump's going to charge you on clothing. He's going to charge you on this or that. And actually, she's the one. Your taxes are going to go up by 4 times. And if the Trump tax cuts, because I got the largest tax cuts ever, but they expire in a number of months, pretty soon, she has to be able to do something about it. And she's unwilling and incapable. I'll tell you what, if she's the worst vice president ever. He's the worst president ever.
Like, he should ask why. Like, what do you mean? But to be fair, that probably opens up another avenue for Trump to just say a bunch of shit that's objectively not real. Say some stuff that is real that he himself also advanced. Because a lot of the stuff that like Republicans shit on the Democrats over, they do too. They do the same.
Speaking of Kamala and speaking of the border, we had 2 Border Patrol agents that came on in the past 2 years, right? Because we wanted to learn about it from people that are. Dude,
this is it. This is what I mean. It's like, bro, talk to a person who's an undocumented migrant or an advocate. Like, that's what's crazy, bro. You wouldn't have a healthcare pharmaceutical executive on to talk about how insurance is sweet, So why the are you talking to a goddamn border agent, a Border Patrol agent about like how Latinos are, coming into the country with fentanyl in their ass cracks and doing. Talk to an immigration lawyer, man, or an activist or some shit.
are there on the ground. And one of the things that we found out was a lot of times they keep arresting the same people because the people that are coming in illegally aren't being prosecuted. That's one of the biggest problems they were saying. What can we do differently to make things safe at the border? What are you going to do differently?
So the borders, well, I did it. We had the best border.
Oh, the wall, they should have kept it. I agree.
We had the wall built. We had more going to come long beyond what I promised. I built hundreds of miles of wall, and it worked. Walls work. You know, walls and wheels. I say it all the time. Two
Walls
things,
and
they
wheels.
never get obsolete.
Well,
wheels and walls.
Well, they also supplied infrastructure. Like, people don't understand, the wall also was a place where Border Patrol agents could go to get water, to get food, to rest. It provided like a shelter out there as well.
It worked.
They're in
Yo, I'm dying, dude. This is so... To be fair, aren't border control agents a necessary function to protect the country, even if we could be more open to immigrants like police for borders? The only border patrol agent you need is a mother who just rubber stamps you into the country, okay? Not the way that we currently have the border patrol operate. What about the cartels and all that? Great question. If you want to shut down cartels, you have to shut down the way that cartels exist and the way that they make money, which is decriminalizing drugs. You also need to stop, you need to stop giving Americans easy access to an arsenal that they can, give to the cartels in exchange for drugs. What a take. I know, it sounds so crazy. Chatter is going to be shocked when he finds out that other countries have done this and seen tremendous success. Portugal, caralho, but also, of course, like 99% of the things that I argue for are just like tested and true things that happen around the world. But chatters are uninitiated to it, so they go, "That's silly. What's next, bro? You talk about free healthcare? What a dumb communist loser you are." Have you seen this? It's pinned in Discord. What is this? What the is this, bro? Honestly, even without the poop sock, that just my day up. You know what I mean? Like, this is the one time where the poop sock made it better. I don't know how, but we arrived at a situation where the poop sock actually improved my mood, and seeing the poop sock improved my mood as opposed to all the other things that I just saw before the poop sock.
in the middle of nowhere. They said it worked. The two that I've spoken to said it worked.
And I was going to do 200 miles of wall. We had it built, and to the spec.
At the risk of being roasted, what's the difference in legalizing and decriminalizing drugs? When you decriminalize a drug, selling large quantities can still be illegal, but the consumption and the carrying of drugs is not. This allows, that is a good question, by the way. You will never be roasted for a good question like this. This allows people who are drug addicts to be treated as though they have an illness rather than prosecuted and put into prison. This also allows a lot of rehabilitation opportunities for people that are, experiencing tough times, right? For example, legalization, on the other hand, would make it so that you can have like Pfizer selling the fucking heroin, which is not a good idea at all. Legalization allows major corporations to generate taxable revenue off of selling certain things and even marketing them, depending on how insanely unrestricted the government is.
But what are you going to do? What's going to happen with the border when you're back?
We're going to seal the border, and I had it very well sealed. We had the most successful border in the history of our country. We're going to seal the border. We're going to finish up certain areas of the wall because they didn't do it, and we're going to have an unbelievable border, and we're going to spend a lot of time getting the criminals out. Look, we have murderers in our country now.
I don't think people should be allowed to be in our country if they're criminals.
Well, then you're going to be very unhappy to know that we have a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of murderers. We have people, drug dealers talking about drugs. It's not even believable that they'll do it. So what they've done is they've allowed murderers, people in prisons, people in jails, people in mental institutions, insane asylums, and terrorists to pour into our country by the hundreds of thousands. And they are in our country right now. And the country that brought them out said, if you ever come back, we're giving you the death penalty or we're going to kill you.
Well, in Brooklyn alone, there's a huge building that is housing just Haitian people. They're just housing.
Yeah, and I suspect they're all drug dealer murderers, actually, because Trump just said that, and I'm not going to fact check it, and I'm also scared of black people, so I'm just going to go along with this narrative now. What a wonderful conversation, dude. Yo, those are people, dude. Those are human beings. Like, those are just regular fucking humans, dude. Like trying to make a living, you know? And we're out here having this convo. We're out here having a conversation about them, about how like they're all actually criminals, dude. That's insane. Bro, this guy talked to Bernie Sanders like last week. How is this possible? What a switch up.
And just wandering around Brooklyn all the time, my friends are telling me.
They have some rough people too, really rough people.
So you're
That he can just say this is exactly why the Biden bill and party messaging is so terrifying. Basically, we're conceding to the psycho narrative. Yeah, it's nuts. To quote Theo from an hour ago, some might be human, man. Yeah.
so if you get reelected to the board, you're going to continue that project.
No, the difference between him and Joe Rogan is that it would take one person to be like, hey, Theo, like, meet my friend. He's one of the Haitian migrants that you're talking about. Like, he's just a normal dude who wants to make a living, and he just wants like the proper paperwork so we can go participate in the American economy and try to achieve the American dream. And then I suspect that he would be like more understandable. Whereas I feel like Joe Rogan would act like he's understanding that point and then immediately forget it the next time he talks to a white supremacist that he definitely brought on a show on purpose. That's why I always say charitability is the number one thing. Charitability is the number one thing, chat. If you talk to someone who is like genuinely curious, genuinely a charitable human being, like you can explain to them all of these concepts in a way that makes sense. But the inverse of that is also true. When someone is like open-minded, you could have like a guy like this come out and just be like, yeah, they're all rapists, Theo, I'm telling you. And he'd be like, yeah, I know, dog, that's crazy. What?
Tell Baron I said thanks, man.
Good.
Yeah.
He's a big fan.
I hope to get to meet him someday. He seems like a neat kid.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
Is he? Yeah. And yeah, thank you for your time. I can't believe that I got to be able to sit down with you. I'm grateful to Dana White as well for setting this up. And yeah, I just appreciate you giving me your time today, Donald Trump. Thank you so much.
And good luck with your situation.
Yes,
You're going to do it. You beat it, right? You beat it. Good luck with it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Now I'm just